Can I share something with you that could unlock everything for you? Here's what I read today that was so powerful. And then I'm going to show you in the Word of God the same thing. This is by James Wedmore. He said, "You can't experience infinite possibilities when you continue to argue your own limitations." You see, you can't have this desire to do something, but then continue to hold on or cherish the opposite. You can't, the Bible even says that life and death are in the tongue. And so you can't believe one thing or try to believe one thing when you continually speak against that one thing. So in Numbers 13, there's something profound happening. God has come to the Israelite people and promised them a land. He's already delivered them out of the hands of their enemy, delivered them out of Egypt. They are up, they go all the way up to the Red Sea. Now, mind you, they're complaining the whole time, okay? Poor Moses. But, anyways, they're up at the Red Sea. The Red Sea is in their way. The enemy, Pharaoh, is coming after them. They watch as God parts the Red Sea, and they're literally walking through on dry land, right? The sea is parted. They're walking on dry land. They get on the other side. They watch their enemy drown in the water because God releases the water. And now God has given them a promise of this promised land running with milk and honey. And so they send 12 representatives of the 12 tribes to go, or 12 spies to go into this promised land to check it out, right? And so they go in. And when they come out, it says that they are literally carrying grapes so large that it takes two people to carry them on a like stick. Like they're so large. The proof that what God says about the land is right there in front of their eyes. And there are two of them that are like, let's go. It's everything that God said. But there are 10 of those spies that say, no way, we can't do it. We can't do it. There are too many giants there. There are too many enemies there. We cannot take the land. And they began to, and I love the way the word says, it says, and the men who had gone up with him said, we can't attack those people. They are stronger than we are. And they spread among the Israelites a bad report. You guys, sometimes when we're trying to accomplish big things, the enemy begins to spread a bad report. Now, Caleb, on the other hand, Caleb and Joshua were the ones who went in and saw what God saw through God's filter. And it says, then Caleb silenced the people before Moses and said, we should go up and take possession of the land, for we can certainly do it. Now, one more verse. This is Numbers 13 and verse 33. We saw the Nephilim, the descendants of Anak, come from Nephilim. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we look the same to them. Now, I want you to hear that. It says, we felt like grasshoppers around them. So those giants saw us as grasshoppers. What we believe, what we allow our brain to begin to fight will keep us from accomplishing the things that God has called us to accomplish. And we know, if you've read the story, that it ends up that the Israelites refuse to go. They believe the 10 and don't believe the 2 and don't believe God for victory. And they choose to wander around in the wilderness for 40 years. I hope I'm speaking to somebody. They choose to walk around in the wilderness for 40 years, and that whole generation has to die off. And their next generation was the one who ended up getting to take the land. And I'm believing with all my heart that there are some people out there that God has made a promise to. God has told you and called you and given you gifts and given you talents. And you are literally walking in your limitations that you fight for. I've had, you guys, as a coach, I have sat there and looked in the face of some of my clients and said, here's your gifts. Here's what you could accomplish. I'm going to partner with you. I'm going to walk with you. We're going to do it. And they continue to say, I know, but, I know, but, I know, but. And they keep saying, but, and putting those limitations on there. And I'm just going to have to repeat one of my husband's friends and said, you're going to have a big old butt sitting. He said sitting, no, written on your tombstone. But how do we say but to what God's calling us to do? But when we allow those arguments to continue to happen, right? He says, take every thought captive and every argument that comes against the word of God and the presence of God and the promises of God. We have got to quit arguing these arguments in our mind. We have got to quit speaking things like we're little and we're nothing. No, you are everything that God called you to be. And the only reason you're not seeing it is because you continue to argue it. You continue. You can't believe one thing and accomplish another thing. So before you think it's going to be another course or another class or another magic button, really what needs to happen is you got to deal with that brain mess that's going on, that mind mess that's going on, that argument that keeps happening inside of your brain. Listen to me, child of God. You are called to do what you were called to do. And if you are a kingdom coach and a kingdom entrepreneur, God has put this idea inside of you. Yes, you're going to have to grow. Yes, you're going to have to take out giants. Yes, there will be battles. Yes, you will get uncomfortable. It's the reason why my podcast and everything is calling over comfort. And I am not preaching what I have not done. I got off the floor. I so many times I've stepped into rooms while my insides were shaking because I knew I didn't belong in that room, but I was determined by the time I came out of that room, I was going to belong in that room because I was going to learn and I was going to grow. And so if you keep limiting yourself, you will never see the glory of God. You have got to start believing in yourself. So don't do like the Israelites and see yourself as a grasshopper so that then your giants can see you that way as well. That's the enemy speaking to you. Why don't we join the ranks of Caleb and Joshua that said, I'm not seeing the enemy. I'm seeing how big my God is. Somebody listening to me right now needs to hear this. You're so focused on the battle, you've forgotten who your God is. Let's start telling the enemy who your God is, what he's called you to do. It's time to unsheath your sword. It's time to walk into battle and take what the enemy has stolen from you. I know this is strong, but I feel like someone needed to hear it. You are who God says you are. You are. Quit arguing it. Quit putting the limited mindset around it and start stepping